Ubba's last campaign survives first as an unnamed brother leading 23 ships onto the Devon coast. The English record fixes his defeat in 878 but leaves the battlefield's exact location uncertain. Later writers supplied a famous commander, a dramatic hill, and increasingly elaborate stories. Reconstructing the final stand requires walking backward from those additions toward the earliest report. The result is a tight episode inside Alfred's wider war, not a complete biography of Ubba. Early in 878, Wessex faced coordinated pressure from more than one Scandinavian force. Guthrum struck into the kingdom and drove King Alfred toward the Somerset wetlands. At roughly the same time, a fleet crossed to Devon from western Britain or Ireland. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle calls its leader a brother of Inguar and Halfdan. Its entry does not use the name Ubba in the earliest surviving form. The ships numbered 23, a precise analytic figure whose original basis cannot now be checked. Their crews entered a region of steep coasts, narrow landing places, wooded ridges, and defended estates. Devon was not a passive margin beyond the main war. Its local aristocracy could mobilize followers and use fortified ground while royal command was disrupted. The invaders encountered a West Saxon force associated in later testimony with Ealdorman Odda. Asser's Life of King Alfred provides the fullest near-contemporary narrative of the encounter. Writing in Alfred's circle during the 890s, Asser shaped events to celebrate royal survival and divine favor. He nevertheless lived close enough to preserve valuable information about people and regional geography. According to his account, the English withdrew into a stronghold lacking a conventional defensive wall. The site possessed natural protection but little water, creating a dangerous siege condition. Scandinavian forces waited outside, expecting thirst and hunger to compel surrender. The defenders instead attacked suddenly at dawn and overwhelmed the besieging army. No source permits a reliable reconstruction of formations, individual duels, or the commander's final moments. What can be recovered is a reversal produced by terrain, supply pressure, and local initiative. The Chronicle reports that the expedition's leader was killed with hundreds of his followers. Its total is conventionally read as 840 men. Medieval casualty numbers deserve caution, especially when they magnify providential victory. The destruction was still serious enough for independent narrative emphasis and the capture of a renowned banner. The Chronicle calls that standard the Raven, giving one physical object unusual prominence. Asser also mentions the banner, though later tradition enriched its supernatural reputation. A raven emblem fits Scandinavian symbolic culture warfare and associations with Odin. Its presence cannot prove that every Scandinavian army carried an identical magical standard. Nor can embroidery reveal the commander's identity without an inscription or secure chain of ownership. At this point, the name Ubba enters through textual development rather than battlefield archaeology. Later medieval sources identify the defeated leader as Ubba or Hubba. Some accounts place him beside Ivar during the killing of Edmund of East Anglia. Those stories grew within hagiography, where pagan attackers frame a Christian king's martyrdom. They cannot serve as contemporary personnel lists for the Devon expedition. Identifying Ubba with the Chronicle's unnamed brother remains plausible and widely repeated. It is not equivalent to reading his name in the Annal for 878. These family labels create another important layer of uncertainty. Later Norse literature arranges Ivar, Halfdan, and Ubba among the sons of Ragnar Lodbrok. Contemporary English reporting supports some association among commanders, but not the complete Saga pedigree. Calling Ubba a Ragnarsson therefore carries a later genealogical claim into an earlier event. Final Devon expedition remains his strongest candidate for a securely bounded action. Even there, two basic questions remain open: Precisely where did it happen, and what was the stronghold? Countisbury and the neighboring headland above Lynmouth have long attracted identification with the battle. Another proposal places the encounter at Cannington, near the tidal Parrett estuary in Somerset. Modern place name arguments have produced additional candidates, including sites connected with the name Sinuit. Importantly, the Chronicle does not name Sinuit in the relevant annal. Asser uses a Latin place form commonly rendered as Sinuit, but its modern location is disputed. Landscape resemblance cannot settle the issue because several southwestern promontories provide defensible high ground. Archaeology would need a securely dated military horizon tied convincingly to the recorded siege. No universally accepted excavation has located Ubba's final position or the captured standard. The uncertainty changes how the episode should be visualized. We can imagine environmental constraints supported by the source, but not select one cliff as established fact. Water supply was decisive in Asser's telling, making wells and springs more relevant than heroic choreography. 23 ships also imply landing space, maintenance, guards, and a route connecting shore with supplies. Each crew required food after a winter crossing or coastal voyage. Once the English occupied protected ground, the attackers faced their own logistical clock, waiting concentrated men outside a stronghold while Guthrum's main force operated elsewhere. Coordination across Wessex depended upon messengers, weather, navigable coasts, and uncertain local intelligence. The Devon defeat removed a fleet that might otherwise have reinforced pressure on Alfred. Its timing, therefore, mattered far beyond the number of men reported killed. Adda's victory demonstrated that regional commanders could act effectively without immediate royal direction. That capacity complicates narratives in which Wessex survives, solely because Alfred personally orchestrated every response. Local levies bore risks while estates supplied weapons, food, and horses. Communities near the landing endured requisition, disrupted travel, and the possibility of captivity. Their experiences appear only indirectly through elite records celebrating military deliverance. Soon afterward, Alfred reorganized resistance and defeated Guthrum at Edington. The Devon encounter should not be collapsed into that later royal victory. It weakened one arm of the invasion and preserved southwestern resources at a critical moment. Its consequence was strategic rather than independently decisive for the whole war. Later chroniclers preferred a more personal story centered upon Ubba's name and the Raven Banner. A named enemy gives victory a face, while a captured emblem turns reversal into visible proof. Local traditions then attached the episode to specific hills, graves, and monuments. Such memory deserves study as memory, not automatic promotion into 9th century evidence. Some sites called Ubba's grave acquired their associations long after the Viking Age. Without dated remains and secure context, a mound's name cannot identify its occupant. The same caution applies to memorial stones erected in modern times. They demonstrate continuing fascination with the battle rather than locating the dead commander. What then can be said about Ubba's final stand with confidence? A Scandinavian expedition of 23 ships reached the southwest during Wessex's gravest crisis. Its leader, described as brother to Inguar and Halfdan, besieged English defenders in a naturally strong position. The defenders attacked, killed the leader, inflicted a major defeat, and captured a Raven standard. Asser links local leadership to Adda, and his account was written within living memory. The leader's identification as Ubba belongs to later but persistent tradition. Neither his private motives nor the precise battlefield has survived. These limits do not diminish the event's importance. They define its real scale. The stand reveals an invasion that could fail through logistics and resistance even during apparent dominance. It shows West Saxon survival emerging from regional action before royal recovery became secure. Most importantly, it separates a documented defeat from the Saga family, built around its unnamed commander. A decisive archaeological discovery could still narrow the map if dating, weapon assemblage, and defensive context converged. Even then, connecting human remains to Ubba would require evidence beyond location and elite equipment. Until that threshold is met, no modern viewpoint can claim the commander's exact last ground. The Raven banner closes the early account because capture made enemy power physically transferable. Its cloth has vanished, while its name crossed centuries and gathered meanings from successive writers. Ubba underwent a similar transformation, moving from later identification into apparent eyewitness presence. Returning to 878 removes neither the name nor the drama, but restores their proper evidential distance. The final stand securely belongs to a defeated fleet, a resourceful local defense, and a commander whose earliest record left him unnamed.